Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his ever-trusty sidekick.
Hello.
So we're bringing you today Perry Miniatures Zulus. Now we've already done Perry Miniatures British Colonials, haven't we?
Yes, we did.
Both boxes, and we've done the Zulus from Warlord, which we do a lot of. You know, we've got a lot.
That was one of our original unboxings.
It was. So these guys are from Perry. We've found it hard getting hold of these guys, but we finally got hold of them. That's some of the figures based up there. So we'll actually have a look at the figures. Pass me the card first. Right, the box has in it a few pictures of Zulus on the back and a little bit of description, like that. And you have this nice little booklet that comes with it, which has all sorts of interesting stuff in, tells you how to put the figures together, and has a few ideas on shields. I have a book which has got about 50 different types of shields, each assigned to different regiments.
When I'm painting, I normally go for that one.
Unmarried. Yeah. So, but, you know, yeah, it's probably right. It's probably the type of cows they have in each particular region. Although I do think a lot of the shield designs come down to, do you know when an American goes to Scotland and they say, this is my family name, and the guy in the shop says, oh, this is the tartan for you. You have to buy this, it's very expensive. And the American buys it and then goes away and says, I've got my clan's tartan from Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah, it's made up. There are actually no clan tartans, not really. It's a modern invention. So I'm just wondering, possibly it might be the same for the Zulus. I'm also thinking of tour guides videos that are on YouTube for the Zulu War, and there's quite a few tour guide videos, and that's basically their opinion. The Zulus sort of had whatever they had, and some regiments had more money, so could afford to buy all the same colour shields, so they look good.
Yep.
But that's about it, really. And are you going to take your bestest shield into battle?
Nope.
Why even take a shield into battle? It's a bit silly. Anyway, so these are the sprues, and they are typical Perry fare, although a little bit more actiony than the average Perry. Perry usually just does the walking forward thing or the standing. You have an actual couple of running guys with this, which is good because they're Zulus, and I wouldn't expect anything better. They're just great. We have a nice selection of shields there. You've got enough shields for all the figures. I think in the Warlord box you don't actually have enough shields, do you?
You do.
Oh, you have the small shield.
Yeah, either variation which you can only have with unmarried for Perry, because do these now have different variations?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
With unmarried for Perry, you have one big shield, the rest have to have tiny shields. With the married, it's all big shields.
Yes, so they have a target shield,
yeah,
which is a small handheld shield, which is used when you carry a rifle. You have a collection of heads. These heads are actually quite good. They've got some nice expressions on them. I did use one of the heads, a little bit of cutting and shaking, to make a Natal native horse. So I swapped the head to an American Civil War cavalryman and made him Natal native horse using the spare head from this sprue. That's why I asked for those Civil War cavalry the other day.
Right.
I bet you wondered what I wanted them for.
I thought it was being weird.
Yeah. I do things like that. So we have married heads. If you're married, Zulus married have this sort of ring around their head sewed into their hair. And unmarried don't have a ring around their head because they've not done anything interesting enough to get married. Zulu regiments had to be awesome in order to have permission to get married, and then they would be married en masse.
There was a lot of married then after Zindwana.
Yes, I should guess.
And then a lot of widows after Rockford.
Also a lot of widows after Isandwana. Isandwana was one of the highest casualty battles for the Zulus. They lost a huge amount of men. So you have the married heads. These ones, they tend to be older men. You see, the freshly married guys, the royal regiments, usually freshly married. You could possibly be royal if you're not married. It depends if you've had time. They carry all the posh headdress, the feathers and everything. They look really good, and they're the sort of freshest, bestest troops you've got. The unmarried ones here, they're the sort of younger men, and they haven't actually done well in battle. Maybe they'll get married and become one of these. And then you get past 30 and you are one of these guys. You just get to wear the silly thing on your head, and you are not a very good soldier because your back's gone, your knees hurt, your ankles hurt. You might have had an assegai in the knee at some point. So you're limping around the battlefield being old. I know I am that age, so yeah. I would be one of these guys here. Unfortunately, none of these represent me at all because I would have a huge belly and I'd be quite flumpy and sort of staggering around the battlefield holding my knee because my knee's absolutely shattered. So not entirely realistic figures, to be honest. We need sort of overweight Zulus.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, they didn't starve much after Shaka. They didn't have much problem with food because he created the farming system. I.e., he got the regiments to farm, which made it a lot more efficient. Anyway, that's what we have. We have some nice poses for the spears. The assegai, sorry. Nice little poses for the spears. You can pretty much do anything you want. You've got the knocker and the spears. The shields.
Wait, do the shields come with an arm?
Some do. I think one does, and two come with hands. And then the other two don't have anything, and you can stick it on anything you want. So you have a massive variation you can do. I'll just show you, like this guy, he's loading his rifle, and he's stuck his shield in the ground. And he's loading his rifle. He's probably using the shield as a windbreak, and he's there loading it. And that shield is one of the shields with no hand, so he's got the shield on the floor as he's firing a rifle. That guy is one of the shields that doesn't have a hand in it, so I was able to put it on him because he's wounded. So you got lots of different sort of things you can do with each individual figure, and you can make them look totally unique. Whereas with the Warlord stuff, they do tend to look a bit samey after a bit.
It's because there's only 4 variations.
Yes, whereas there's 5 variations, plus your command.
Yeah, plus 3 variations.
And let's get on to the command. So, these are the command figures, and this is why I'm liking the Perry stuff better than the Warlord stuff. No problem with Warlord, but all the Warlord command are lead, and you have to buy them separate, whereas these guys you can do your own. You got a dead guy, you got a guy falling over, been shot, that's this guy here. You have, I assume that's supposed to be the commander, who stood there all nice and...
Has he got a pointy arm?
Yeah, does he have a pointy hand? Let's check the pointy hand. No.
He's not very Perry-like then,
no,
is he?
he's not an officer then, is he? He can't be an officer without a pointy hand.
This guy's got a pointy spear.
Oh, you could be pointy spear.
Pointy
That's
spear.
it. That is actually the officer, isn't it? That's sorry.
Pointy spear.
That is the officer. I made him an older gentleman. The next regiment I'm going to do is going to be... I'm going to do them with all as pensioners, so they're all going to have grey hair and stuff. They're going to be a married regiment, and they're going to have grey hair, and I might maybe put a beer belly onto a few to represent me. So he's a slightly older chap, and he's the officer, and I'm kind of guessing that he isn't the young man who's in charge. He's been put in charge, but I don't know. Anyway, so you've also got the kneeling guy as well. There's a guy kneeling, and he can be an officer as well, or whatever you want him to be. So you got a decent selection of stuff. You've got a lot of stuff you can do with this. Plus, this is the sprue with all the rifles on it, and you actually have enough rifles on this sprue to do one full sprue. So you could have quite a lot of men armed with rifles.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, the Zulus themselves did actually have... were supposed to have a rifle per man before the war started, but they were mostly muzzle loading. So, black powder muzzle loading rifles, Waterloo type rifle.
Yeah.
But then they got hold of breech loading rifles from the British after Isandlwana. But Zulus didn't tend to be very good at shooting. They weren't trained to shoot particularly, although Milibini did train his troops to use rifles, and so did Kechiweo. to try and make units that could actually use rifles properly and use European tactics to take on Europeans. But it doesn't seem to have worked in the field.
No.
From the descriptions of the Zulus in battle, they would fire their rifle, then drop it and charge him with a spear and a shield. That's when they weren't crawling along the ground, which is actually the correct thing to do when facing a British line firing muskets at you. Firing breech-loading rifles at you. You stay in a wadi and you crawl up to them and you wait for their rifles to run out of ammo, then you charge them. But that's it. That's the Zulus. So, what do we think?
Warlord wins.
I think Warlord wins.
My opinion.
Well, why?
I really like the Warlord ones.
Well, these guys don't have a lot of fur. You get the fur on the feet. That's it. Warlord, you have the option to upgrade them and have the guys with the posh heads completely covered in fur, which is so the Royal regiments, which are the ones who look awesome on the battlefield.
And they have big sprues with a lot of different. They don't have variations for stances like Perry does, but they have variations for the weapons, the how you're holding the weapons, how they're holding the shields.
So you say Warlord definitely wins?
For me.
Yeah, that's fine. I like these ones.
Other people would prefer these.
Yeah,
because they have the different, people, like animated, but not in my opinion.
Yeah, they're sort of doing more.
Yeah.
You can do more interesting things with them, which is what I like doing. And we're doing Rock's Drift first, and then we're going to expand to do other stuff. So, yeah, there we are.
But like for me, Warlord Colonials as well. Because they have firing line.
Yeah, okay. Good point, actually. The Perry stuff hasn't really got a firing line, has it?
No.
It kind of has. If you could have the men loading the breach and stuff, so you could make a firing line, but you have no kneeling.
And none of them are.
Yeah, you got no kneeling troops. Yeah, good point. Good point. So you can't reenact the film Zulu.
No.
Not that during the Zulu War, troops ever actually fought like that. But it looks good on film.
Awesome.
Yeah, troops actually stood about 4 meters apart when firing, because it makes it a lot harder to hit you, and you've got more range of fire. But that's just...
Is that it?
Yeah, it's boring.
So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below what you think of the Perry Miniatures Zulus.
Yeah, so it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.